Hello everybody, this is Anne again from the Canberra Baby Directory. We are continuing our series where we interview local experts in the field of fertility, pregnancy, birth and afterbirth. And today I'm really pleased to welcome Jeanette here with us. She's a local dietitian and I will get her to introduce herself. Hey Jeanette, how are you?
Hi Anne, I'm well thanks. Yes, I'm Jeanette Ryan from Live Better Nutrition. We work with women in the Canberra area and their partners to help improve their fertility and conception chances.
That's really nice that you could join us today. Well, Jeanette, you gave me a little bit of a link here already, and could we tap right into your field if you don't mind? And the first question that I have for you is, you mentioned that you're working with women and couples when they're trying to have a baby. Could you tell us a little bit about what scenarios you see or what couples come for when they first engage you?
Yeah, often we see women, sometimes it takes a little while to get the partner there, but we see the couples as well. They work on their diet when they've been often having some IVF for a little while, or they haven't even started IVF and they just want to make sure that their diet is right on song to help their fertility be the best that it can be.
Okay, and so when you say the fertility can be the best it can be, would you like to explore a little bit more what you see, what happens when women actually optimize their diet?
Mm-hmm. So the main thing that we see is women who are either not ovulating at all or they have irregular ovulation cycles, which makes fertility quite difficult. It's hard to track ovulation and it's hard to know when your best time is to conceive. So we're seeing a lot of women who they have trouble with ovulation. That anovulatory fertility is it's a big part of infertility. So that's when we see a lot of our women coming in wanting to fix their diet and help to make their ovulation cycles nice and regular.
Oh, that's really good. And in regards to that, do you find there are certain requirements, or is there one part in diet that you specifically feel women can improve?
There are a lot of parts to the diet. So our diet impacts our hormones, which is a large part of that inovulatory fertility. And so when we work on our diet and we can fix our hormones up, it can be many parts of the diet that are impacting those hormones. So it's not just one part of the diet we have to look at. We're often looking at sugar content, the types of fats you're consuming, and a big one is protein. So many women
really?
don't, whether they're having enough protein, whether they're having the right types of protein, and we work on all of those things.
Oh, that's really interesting. And so I believe that sometimes women think they should lose weight when they're trying to fall pregnant, particularly if they're more on the heavier side. Could you also explain a little bit about what your experience is with that?
Oh, absolutely. Weight has a huge, huge role in fertility. The main role that we have is women who are over the BMI of 25 or under the BMI of 18 can have trouble falling pregnant. And we know that just as little as 5% weight loss for people over the BMI of 25 can have an impact of 25% increase in conception, either naturally or with assistance. So it can have a really, really big impact on conception.
Oh, wow. I mean, up to 25%, that is indeed a huge progress. So yes. Everybody essentially who tries to fall pregnant should possibly consider optimizing their diet, really.
Well, that's right. And it's only such a small amount. 5% if you're an 80 kilogram woman and you knew that you were just that little bit too heavy, that's less than 4 kilos, could have such a huge impact on your chances of conceiving.
Wow, that's incredible. On that note, obviously I work also as a midwife. I see a lot of, how shall I say, not body shaming, but certainly body awareness in women in the community. So often they feel, particularly if they have a higher BMI, that they're worried if they see a dietitian or pretty much any health professional, that the weight will be brought up. And so they're a bit shy to actually get in contact. Could you talk a little bit about that? How you kind of make them feel comfortable, or why it's definitely a good thing to get in contact?
Well, we can always help women of any shape, and that's our main role, is to help people. We're not there to shame anyone. We're not there to make people feel bad about the choices they've been making previously. The biggest step is that they've come in the first place, and that's something that they can be very proud of. but our role is not to be judgmental. It's to help. So any small change you want to make, that's what we're there to help you with. It doesn't have to be a complete diet overhaul. Often it's the very little changes that we make to diets that make the biggest impact, because they're the ones that you can sustain rather than a crash diet or a fad diet. A little change like having one meal a week on plant-based protein rather than having one on meat can make a big impact on your fertility. And it wasn't a huge change to your diet, but it made a difference.
Wow, yeah. So I know that obviously any advice is more general in this interview, and I acknowledge that it's always better to really sit face to face and, you know, work things out more in an individualized way. But are there some tips that you certainly could give women? Do you have favorites? I mean, are there any 3 tips, dietary tips that you would like to share with us today?
Probably the 3 easiest tips would be to reduce soft drink. So knowing that just one soft drink a day can reduce your fertility by 25% and can reduce the male's fertility by 33%.
So for the blokes, there's one for the blokes.
Change to make. So just cutting out that one soft drink a day will have a huge impact. Eating more whole grains, so less refined products like white bread and donuts and more whole grain breads and basmati rice, those sort of foods. Those are 2 easy ones. And the other one be to try and have 2 meals a week from plant-based proteins. So basing 2 meals on legumes or lentils rather than having meat every night.
Oh, wow. So all these 3 are really simple hints, actually, really simple things that everybody should be able to implement.
They're not hard and they don't take up a lot of extra time, and they're not expensive. A lot of people think that they'll come to a dietitian and we're going to give them crazy foods that are inaccessible or difficult to prepare, but 3 little changes can make a big difference.
Yeah. The other one that I want to talk to you a bit about, particularly looking at Canberra being a very multicultural city, you know, and we have a lot of transient population here. So I meet, obviously, in my role as midwife and lactation consultant, women who come from all walks of life, and meaning they might have different cultural or religious beliefs, or they might have certain food choices like being vegan or vegetarian. Can you work with these women? Do you feel there is a lot you still can achieve, even if they have a fairly set way of living in that regard?
Yes, and sometimes it's even easier to work with people who have a restricted diet, because we're not having to try and take out a lot of extra foods. We've got what we call a capsule diet, people who work within a certain way of eating, much like a capsule wardrobe, black pants, white shirt and a colourful scarf. It's very easy then to change a diet within a restrictive diet. But vegans, vegetarian, women who are working through Ramadan, we can work with all of them.
Oh, that's really good. The other one that I see in my role as a lactation consultant quite frequent is that obviously there is more and more knowledge evolving around food allergies. And so sometimes women are kind of feeling that they want to start an elimination diet to hopefully reduce the effects that it has, what they eat on the baby when they're breastfeeding. Have you certainly supported women with that, or can they ask you for extra support? Because sometimes it's hard to come up with any ideas to still have a nutritious meal.
Yes, so I'm also a fail-safe dietitian, so I work with the RPAH elimination diet, and that's where we start. We take out the food chemicals, we take out lactose and gluten, and we work from a very safe base so that the women are still having an adequate diet, and it's not going to impact their breast milk supply, but hopefully finding that trigger that's passing through to the baby and giving them the reaction.
Yeah. Well, there's so many things obviously women can engage you for. I can see that. So you are working in a team of 2 at the moment, is that correct?
Yes. Yep. There are 2 of us. We work out of 3 locations, and we also online. So we're quite accessible.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. So that was really, really interesting. So if women would like to engage you, you know, to talk a bit more about what they can do and to hopefully meet you either face to face, or you said you do a virtual consultations as well, what is the best way to get in contact with you?
The easiest way would be via our website. You can book online at any of our locations and for an online consult at our website at www.livebetternutrition.com.au.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, Jeanette, so thank you so much for your time today. It was really, really interesting talking to you, and I'm sure I will have many more questions later on, face to face as well, hopefully. But thank you for joining us today, and we're hoping to have you soon again.
Yes, thank you. It was a pleasure. It was fun.
Thank you.